For your mouth, please.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing, public comment section on the budget.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, I'd like to start a public comment. Anybody with public comment? Yes, Steve.
Comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the right thing.
Andrew, yep.
Want me to go up to the mic? or-
Yes, sir.
Okay.
3 minutes. Name, address, birth date, need your house, no.
My name is Steve Sansol. I live in the village at 45 Lorraine Drive. Just a question. I reviewed the budget online, and on page 6, at the top of the page, under debt service, you have a $24,000 charge, but there's no ledger description associated with that. Is something missing on that
I didn't
description?
bring up my release. Does anybody have the local copy? Because my large copy doesn't have, I don't remember this in.
On page 6?
Or at least on my screen on the computer, it shows page 6. It's at the very end.
Is there a line item number that you're referring to?
There was no description, just
Oh.
24,000.
That's for the interest on, so if we get the Safe Walks to School grant, and anybody really other than me knows more about this, but if we get the Safe Walks to School grant, we potentially have a $400,000 match, and that $24,000 is being saved for interest on a $400,000 ban.
Okay, so you realize it's not described on the ledger in any way?
We can fix that.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Okay,
But
so that's what it's for.
That's what it's for, and we will make sure to fix that.
And when do you know if the grant comes?
We heard maybe as early as June, but we're not sure.
Okay, so it'll carry for the year, and if it's not...
And if we don't get it, then we don't spend it.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Good eyes.
Thank you. My days of work.
Any other comments on the budget? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public comment session. Make a motion to close the public and open into the public hearing.
Second.
Here's the aye.
Aye.
All right. So before we get started along those budgets, I'm going to follow my sword and say we made a mistake. And we need to correct the budget into what was the section under the courts. So line item 11101.01.0.00, right, excuse me, .05, was mistakenly combined with line 111004010.02, which was left zeroed out. So what we need to do is balance this out. So what I would like to do is make an amendment to the budget and bring it up to the board for vote, is that line item 0005 be reduced from 20,000 to 16,000, which is a $1,000 increase, and then take the 4,000 and put it in where it was zeroed out for line item 02, which is fees non-employed, and it keeps our budget flat. So my motion is to make that budget amendment.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. So, I'm going to go into a budget discussion for you. All right? So bear with me. I'm going to talk for a long time. All right. So this is all about the budget because it's been a long process, and I want to make sure everybody understands where we are, what we're doing, and how we got to where we are. Okay? So for the 24-25, this is a summary for the 24-25 budget. The Rhinebeck Village Board, along with our CFO Karen McLaughlin, DPW Kyle Amy, Officer Pete Dunn, Building Inspector Ken McLaughlin, Fire Chief Brian Knapp, we've all completed work on the budget for the fiscal year beginning June 1st of 24-25. And I want to update you all on the status, because it's important. We are aware of our obligations to you, the residents, and our taxpayers to provide good fiscal management as well as transparency in the process. Bless you. Our budgeting process is very straightforward. We work with the departments, we set goals, we set priorities, and we do the costing. Right? Over the past 5 years, the amount that we are allowed to levy in property taxes has increased by 9.09%, while inflation has increased by 19.75%. We have been staying under the tax cap by prioritizing our wants versus our needs and using grants to cover costs of needed infrastructure and improvements. But of course, sometimes unexpected expenses arise. So we have to cut budget programs to meet these new demands. For an example, adding a four-way stop sign at the intersection of South Street and Parsonage Street cost us in excess of $10,000. To do this, we delayed replacing other signs, along with the planned study on reducing the speed limit in the village. When we say it's not in the budget, we have to mean it. It's not in the budget. The 24-25 budget process started with us managing expectations and preparing for the possibility that we might have to exceed the tax cap, which is our tax levy. We have a margin of 2%, which gives us $59,000 of leeway in the tax levy over the 23-24 budget. We've been keeping you informed all along the way and have made preparations by passing the law to allow us to override the tax cap. I, for one, I have lost many nights of sleep pondering how to increase revenues and decrease expenses, and as of this writing, we now have some good news to tell you. In the general fund, which is what we tax, the grand total is $2,994,447, and we have forecast revenues conservatively at $1,091,439, which sets the tax levy at $1,903,008. This is exactly $1 underneath the tax cap. Here is a list of how we prioritize the 24-25 budget.
Thank you, yes, you can plot. Thank you.
So, number one, meeting demands to adapt to climate change has been the highest on our list. We are seeing unprecedented storms, detention ponds that have never had water are filling up, and streams are overflowing their banks on a regular basis. So instead of this year paving a new road, which we've done every year in the past, we are shifting our focus to what's underneath the road and focusing on that infrastructure, which consists of a very intricate drainage system, catch basins, and streams. And we will identify deficiencies and make repairs and improvements, and the time is now to prepare for the future of climate change. Number two, while they remain part-time, we are increasing our building and zoning enforcement hours, having our building inspector and zoning enforcement officers here during the day instead of just evenings. Number three, we've increased funding for our law enforcement in order to attract and retain officers. Number four, we will be increasing salaries for those who have performed well at their jobs and grown in their skills. Number five, and most importantly, we are funding the next phase of the comprehensive plan as we start adopting the plan and drafting village-wide zoning changes. This is an aggressive plan that will require your help and support, along with a lot of work as the village board continues to diligently keep our budgets in balance. I also want to thank and commend all the efforts of our staff and their dedication to this collaborative process. I want to especially thank our treasurer, Karen McLaughlin, who's not here this evening, for her guidance and for this board for their support and dedication throughout the process. But we cannot rest on our success for this year. Next year could be just as difficult, but I am confident this board will be up for that challenge. Thank you. Now I'm going to get into the official part of it. Okay, so as I said, our general fund, the appropriations are $2,994,447 and revenue of $1,091,439, which left the tax levy of $1,903,008. I'll share this with you guys later so you don't have to type like crazy. Okay. Water, $1,068,524 with revenues of $1,068,524. Sewer, appropriation is $779,551 and revenue is $759,561. They zero out. So our total appropriations for the Village of Rhinebeck for 24-25 is $4,842,532 against revenues of $2,939,524, which now sets our tax levy, $1 under the tax cap, at $1,903,008. Okay? So our village assessment rose to $205,854. So, in our general fund, we've made major increases where insurance and general liability and health and utilities, but our project funds also include salaries at $87,000. Our highway garage has decreased by $5,000. Our police department has increased by $84,245. Our fire department has increased by $14,950. Highway for a drainage project, $40,000. Drainage for our parks, $20,000. Comp and zoning code changes, $100,000. And long-term debt, $39,413. And the interest for safe routes to school, $24,000. Okay? And our revenues. All our revenue and interest has increased due to the increase in our interest rate forecast, which is good news. All interest and earnings, $33,550. Dutchess County sales tax distribution, $26,120. For the water fund, the balance of $1,068,524 is up 2.3% from last year. No rate increase is indicated. And our budget includes increases in utilities and insurance and new vehicles and turbidity meters for the water department. And we're also under the way of doing a water plant upgrade that is funded by a grant from New York State EFC with a low interest bond. Our sewer, the sewer fund balance is $778,561, which is up 1.9% from last year. No rate increase has been indicated for that either. So all the funds have balanced their budgets without allocating any additional fund balance to them. I need a drink. Any questions from the board?
I have a question. We got a letter from a person about a salary. Was that addressed?
So that was the amendment we made.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to make a quick comment that this is an awkward position because I figured out that I'm voting on a budget. I have
Well,
no
you came
input
to all
on,
the
but
working
we have to
meetings, though.
move forward. So,
And you're allowed to do that.
no, I'm voting on it.
Yeah, you're allowed to.
No,
Well, and you came to all the working meetings, I mean, you were there.
no, I know, but I couldn't argue about how you were spending money.
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt the 24-25 budget as noted.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
You don't use this very often. Budget passed.
We did it.
$1 under the tax cap. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the
So we advertise that for 6:30?
I know, you're right.
So,
We're ahead of schedule.
yeah, so we can either, it's up to you, what would you like to do?
Don't close it.
Yeah. Let's open up and keep going.
Open, make sure it's open past 6:30.
Okay.
Can you close the budget public hearing now?
Oh, we didn't
Public comment, you didn't close the budget.
We didn't
Oh.
close it.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close the 24-25 budget hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Martine.
Dave's not gonna get here until 6:30,
Oh,
so,
I didn't know David was coming.
yeah, you know.
So,
He was here at the
If
beginning,
you
he
don't
wants to be here
mind.
at the end.
yeah, if you don't mind, we can go into other business.
Sure.
If that's okay with the board.
Yeah.
All right, and then we can kind of come back. Is that okay with all of you? Everybody shaking their head? Cool. All right, so we'll go into some other business. All right. Public comment. Anybody here to make a public comment? I always say this, I like to give a little time for everybody to kind of hearing none, I'd like to move on. Treasurer's report. Don't fault me, but I'm going to be Karen this evening, okay? Karen is enjoying some much needed time off. So for the treasurer's report, our general fund, our balance as of March 31st, 24 is $130,930.61. Our water fund balance is $149,346.38. And our sewer fund, our balance is $138,128.31. Our vouchers are downstairs to be approved and signed off by the trustees and the mayor. For the general fund, the total is $109,841.88. For our water, it's $42,087.38. And for our sewer, $39,120.52. Our water plant up, we have a bond for the water system improvement project out for $44,825.34. We have escrow payments of $10,823, and we have a lease on our 23 GMC dump for the highway of $142.51. The general fund includes the bond we have for the wheel loader of $26,056.64, and for our Silverado for the police department of $19,720.91. Right. And for our water and sewer, our April 24th quarterly bills were sent out at $251,385.04, which are monthly at $46,263.63, all due at April 25th, 24. I'd like to make a motion to approve the report and the vouchers.
Second?
Questions?
We didn't get a copy of it.
Is it on the cloud?
No.
I didn't see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
That's okay.
It was handed to me today,
Yeah.
so don't you guess.
Well,
I'll give you a copy.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's there. Okay. I'd like to make we also had a wire to General Chase Bank for the Center Street bond of $6,750. All right, so there are no budget amendment scheduled for this month. If there are, they will be brought forward and carried forward. So I'd like to make a motion to close the treasurer's report for.
We don't have to do that.
So I'd make a motion for that? Okay.
Very great.
Good. Thank you. Our guests have arrived.
Oh,
Do we
great.
want to wait? We have test of 10 minutes. We'll go on. Keep going. It's not quite 6:30 yet, Dave, so we're going to continue with business.
Just get back.
Okay? Is that okay with you?
He's having a hard time hearing.
Oh,
David, we're gonna wait until 6:30 to start.
we're going to go to purchase request next. We have a request by the fire department EMS for an EMS stretcher, which is a Stryker 5-year contract to manage all of our Stryker equipment. It's a 5-year contract with payments of $6,779.60 per year for 5 years. I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget request for the Stryker contract.
Second.
Questions?
Is this the one that Brian was telling us about during
Yes.
budget
Yes.
discussions?
Yes.
Okay,
And it comes with parts.
right. It comes with parts and batteries and,
Yes.
right.
Consumables.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase request for the Stryker for a 5-year contract.
Second.
I already did.
You did.
All
Right
right.
there.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Martina, can you talk about the NICOM annual meeting?
Yes.
You may have to get closer to the mic, Martina.
We attended this meeting last year, the mayor and myself, but this is a NICOM annual meeting that takes place in Lake George. Similar to the NICOM Fall Training School, it's a series of sessions that are held to help the mayor and myself up to date on different aspects of local government. The price for it, for each of us, is $335, and then associated fees would be the food plan, which is $225 per person, and the hotel, which is $440 per person. It takes place from May 17th through May 19th.
Somebody's got a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to, we're accepting the.
NICOM annual meeting.
To approve.
Right.
The amendment.
Approving it.
I'll second that. Is it inside our budget?
Yes.
Great.
And NICOM is a great resource.
Yeah.
It's a really good resource.
So
We can call it, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next, Martina. For trustee Slavy. Do you want to do it, or do you want to do it, Lydia?
Which
You're
would you
going.
prefer?
This is, I prefer you not do it, if Martina has the information.
I don't.
Oh.
Not from me.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So the PACE Land Use Law Center is holding its 7th annual Hudson Valley Affordable Housing Summit. And I forgot to write the date on the attendance approval form, on May 2nd. And I would like to go. It's a legal conference around land use and zoning issues concerning affordable housing, and given the changes that the comp plan is contemplating, is potentially asking us to make to our zoning code, I'd like to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. So it's $100 plus my mileage to and from. It's in White Plains. It's just a day conference.
I'd like to make a motion to approve for trustee Slavy to attend Hudson Valley Affordable Housing Summit.
Second.
Discussion?
Fine.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I nerded out at the last one. I'm really excited to learn about this one.
Vanessa, first day.
Okay, so I am I'd like to make a motion for purchase of a rental of a tent for our Earth Day event. This is through Rhinebeck Party Rentals for the amount of $925. I did call a couple other places, and the comparables were $1,400 and $1,500, so this was the best. Can you give a second?
Second? I'll second that.
And you have approval to put the tent up.
Yeah, so just to be clear, this is the an Earth Day event that the Climate Smart Task Force, which is a village task force, is collaborating with the town of Rhinebeck to put on an Earth Day event. And the town's hosting it at the town park. It'll be April 27th, and there'll be lots of great activities and fun, so I hope everybody comes out. But you know, rain sometimes happens, so we figured let's get a tent just to be careful.
And we now have a flyer that we could put out, right?
Yeah, so soon we just got the approval for the poster, so that'll be going up soon.
Nice.
Are you buying posters? Are you buying posters? as
Yeah,
well?
we'll get some printed, yeah,
Okay. And that's under our budget amount?
yeah.
Okay. Did we approve this? I think we did, right?
No.
No. All right, all in favor of approving the Earth Day tent rentals?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good. It's 6:27, but
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the Buckley Service Overlay and public comment section.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
hey, the public hearing is still
We're
open.
extending, yes.
Yes.
Excuse me, you're right, we extended the public hearing,
So just reopening the public comment, I
Right.
suppose? Thank you. Should I get us up to speed?
Yeah, if you want to let David do it.
Okay.
Dave is ready.
Do you want to get us up to speed?
Well, as the board knows, there's been a number of There've been a number of changes and comments on the law. So what's before the board tonight is a law that's been revised for the comments that were received last month, including comments from the County Planning Board and others. And so essentially it's up to the board tonight. You have before you an amended Part 3 environmental draft environmental assessment form, which evaluates the environmental impacts. Again, in draft, that form recommends a negative declaration, but that question is up to the board as when you get to that. Just to refresh your memories, if you were to find at least the potential for at least one significant adverse environmental impact from the law and the project, you would do a positive declaration. And if you're convinced that there are no significant adverse environmental impacts, you would do a negative declaration. So what's before you tonight is a resolution that has two things in it. One is a draft negative declaration, which would just mean adopting the language in the draft Part 3, or you could amend it if you wanted to, and the local law itself. Since the law has been drafted, there's been another couple of comments that have come in. One is from, again, the county had a kind of a second round. It was much narrower, and there's a couple of individual comments that came in. And so it's up to the board tonight to determine whether you want to move forward with the law and the negative declaration, or whether you have you want to essentially open up either one. The neg deck would or the neg deck has of course never been decided, so that's a question for you to decide if you're comfortable with the environmental impacts. I think at the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, you decided that you were, but that that could be reconsidered. We've never fully adopted it, and more importantly, is the law itself. Whether you want to move forward or whether you want to reopen it for the comments that have been received. Oh, one other thing I want to point out with respect to the county's comments, of which there are now 2. When the law was amended, recrafted over the last month in order to account for the comments, including the county's comments, my recollection is that some of the county's comments were taken into account, and the law was amended for some of them and not for others. The board should be aware that when the county comments based on regional concerns, there are 2 types of comments that the county can issue. One, I'm not sure the exact terms in Dutchess and Ulster County. They're called required modifications and just recommendations. If it's just a recommendation, it's just advisory. You can take it or leave it. Take it under. The county has a fair amount of expertise, but the board is not under any obligation to take them at all. They're suggestions essentially. Even for the things that are required, quote unquote, it's still not really required. But if the board were to decide to ignore one of the things that the county really wants as what would be called an Ulster required modification, that would only require a supermajority vote. So essentially that gives the county planning board 1 vote on this board. You'd need 4 votes to pass it. I would point out that as I read it, none of the county suggestions were quote unquote required modifications. So just all of them are at your discretion. As I mentioned, the current draft is going to have some from the first round of county recommendations. It didn't take others into account. And of course, the second round has not yet been considered. It was very, very narrow, very specifically on the sidewalks. So again, it's up to you guys as to whether you want to accept this draft, whether you want to go back and look at any of those other comments, put more in, or move forward.
So to be specific, on the county, there was two recommendations. One was the width of the sidewalk, and the other one was not to use bluestone.
Not to use what?
Bluestone.
That was on the car. That's the new one.
That's the new one.
They
I'm
were all,
talking about, yeah.
They were all sidewalk related.
It's just sidewalk related and common.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that we're telling the public what they were.
And that's something that came in after and in response to the most recent draft.
Correct.
So that's what the county thought about the most recent draft. They were apparently copacetic on everything other than the 2 issues you raised regarding the sidewalks, which is 5 foot and the bluestone.
And they're just recommendations that you made.
That's right, you can, there's not, they didn't come close to, and I wouldn't have expected them to come close to anything like a required modification, which even there would have only required a fourth supermajority.
You go with that? Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that current ADA requirements are what we currently have in code, which is 3 feet wide with a passing lane, with a passing area every 200 feet. That's what ADA currently requires. They've been talking for years now about bringing that to 4 feet wide with a little passing area every 200 feet. They have not changed it, so instead they've issued guidelines suggesting it strongly, but they haven't actually changed the law. Most of the sidewalks in the village most of the sidewalks in the residential area of the village are 4 feet. We've actually seen with some new construction, some narrowing of the sidewalks to 3 feet, which is concerning. And so this is one of the things that actually the comp plan has actually spoken about, is making sure that we have our residential sidewalks be 4 feet wide. 5 feet is a width that is really strongly recommended in high traffic areas where lots of people are passing each other. As I've sort of said before, it's up to us to sort of, do we consider our residential sidewalks high traffic enough to justify the increased impermeable surface in a world where we don't have a storm system, a storm sewer system, so, a stormwater system. So that's, but the main reason for our change in this law was to make sure that if the sidewalks were replaced, they were replaced with 4 foot wide sidewalks, which is what they currently are, not anything narrower. And currently also in our code, bluestone is not an approved use, an approved material for our sidewalks.
No, it isn't approved.
It's not.
I thought cement and bluestone.
No,
Concrete and bluestone.
it's concrete, Portland cement, and asphalt. So.
You're right, bluestone.
Yeah,
I'm
which
sorry,
is,
you're
which is
right.
bananas, obviously, for the historic district that we purposely, actually, in the zoning code, if you, like, we're not allowed to build new bluestone sidewalks. So the purpose of this was if the owners wanted to change their sidewalks from the concrete ones that currently exist, we wanted to make sure that bluestone was an option for them. That's entirely up to them, but we wanted to make sure it was an option for them. And what we also wanted to do was, there's been a lot of concern raised about the fact that we do allow asphalt sidewalks in the village, and a lot of people have a lot of concerns with that, including the comprehensive plan, because it encourages, it looks like a parking space, so it encourages people parking on the sidewalks. And so we added bluestone and we got rid of asphalt as part of this little, as part of this the Loveland School Overlay District. I explained that to county planning. They understood, but they still felt the need to comment on the fact that this is actually different. It's a different sort of set of criteria than in our main zoning code. But, you know, thanks for your comment, county. They were very nice about it. So that's my thoughts on the county comments.
I mean, we have to make it, we don't have to
We don't have to,
do
no.
anything. We can
Yeah.
just say this is it and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, totally. I just thought I would give some color.
County meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's purely advisory at this point. In fact, I was just pointing out that the comment on the bluestone didn't make any sense, because as Lydia said, it's not even really authorized by the code, and their comment was against bluestone. They said so it was like, you know, it was kind of, believe it or not, it was a little bit of regulatory overkill. But there it is. So it's really up to the board as to whether you want to take a deeper dive into some of these other comments. The ones in the original county recommendation that were not picked up. There was also one of the planning board members wrote individually and had a detailed comment. And everything else. If you're satisfied with the law, you can move on it. If you want to go back and take a second look, you know, it's open for you guys to determine how you want to move forward. There is a draft resolution. I'm actually trying to pull it up. I'm having trouble with the internet, but there's a draft resolution that again has the negative declaration in it based on the part 3, which has been amended, and and ultimately approving the local law. And the board's aware that approving the local law simply sets up a site plan approval process before the planning board. So the planning board is going to be able to tackle some of these, site-specific questions and, the screening and things like that, which is typically, that's sort of typically planning board topics. This board has perhaps gone longer than you probably ever have in terms of the details of what would otherwise be a site plan approval. And what's before you now is whether you want to, take another leap into that, or whether you want to just approve it, send it up to the planning board.
I mean, I'm comfortable with the 2 letters that we received from the immediate neighbors. Were expressing some desires to require certain things about fencing and screening. We have allowed the planning board to allow those things, and so I don't feel the need to have our law require them. I think that's a planning board conversation.
I agree. I mean, that's what we've been saying, that we would make that a site plan approval process.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of this process was to make sure that we set up the framework so that folks' needs could be addressed properly, that there were some boundaries that we set, and within that, it's really up to the planning board, in their infinite wisdom, to figure out how to execute a plan that is acceptable to the neighbors and to the builders.
Anybody have any discussion or comments or questions about the comments we received?
Just about the comments we received.
Yeah.
Or about the law.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that in the past, I had some concerns about, because it's been brought up that, the question of setting up this special district, is that going to be an issue? And I did ask for additional documents, which I got, which satisfied me that I think that we're pretty safe in setting this up, that we're not necessarily going to immediately be sued, so I'm pretty, that kind of, sort of allayed the fears I had in that direction, so I appreciate that information.
Great, I'm glad it was helpful.
I would just also want to point out just a couple of observations. One of the really substantial comments that came from the village planning board, and I think also from the county in its original comments, was the question of whether or not, generally supportive of what the proposal is, but instead of doing it for one particular parcel, it's instead doing a floating zone for essentially the entire village, or at least one, some of the zones in the village. Now, this is on its face a good idea for a number of reasons. It's generally better to be zoning for an area or a zone than for a particular parcel. But in this particular case, a couple of things need to be looked at, which is, in particular, the seeker reviews for those 2 things are quite different. The seeker review for a general zoning would have been probably more of a village responsibility and done almost on a generic basis, and it would, with the concept that any particular proposal would have a specific seeker review for that particular proposal, and that's what was done here. This, as we're very well aware, that the seeker review that we've done was done for a specific proposal, and of course was funded by the escrow submitted by the applicant. And so if we were to go to a more general zoning law, we'd have to essentially take a step back and do a different seeker review. The board can do any number of things with that suggestion. One is, again, set it aside and move forward. And or secondly, you can then move forward if you wanted to with, with a floating zone, a more generalized floating zone has been recommended. I disagreed with the point that was raised, particularly by the village planning board, that all you'd be required to do is just add a line that says, and any other applicant can go ahead and apply to have this used there. Obviously, there were a number of very, very site-specific provisions that came out of the site-specific seeker review, height of the fences and things like that. And so we have to go through essentially very, very carefully and kind of pull out the things that would be part of a generic zoning law. So it would take a little bit more time and effort. So that's before you now as well. That's probably the most important comment that I saw for you guys to decide where to go. The other thing
We covered that last meeting.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
sorry.
were on vacation, but
Never
we
mind.
weren't. But thank you.
We were gonna let you go anyway.
Yeah.
But we did go into a deep
I'm sure
dive.
everyone nailed it, so.
And,
The other thing I would point out-
and what we, just for Your edification, what we agreed to do was to keep it specific like we have.
I think that's appropriate. People that express concern about that have a point, but as I said in the beginning, the concept of spot zoning isn't just because you're zoning a spot. Spot zoning occurs when you do it in a way that is ignorant of the village's goals, and is also ignorant of the impacts on the neighbors. And clearly, we've had a number of meetings and a number of hours of meetings to get around those exact things, and that leads us up into the seeker determination. I want to make a couple of points there. From my observation, of all the seeker issues, the most important ones here are going to be the impacts on the neighborhood and the impacts on the village plan. And as you know, we looked at both the existing comprehensive plan, which dates back in writing to 1993, and also we tried to look at what the comprehensive plan committee was doing. And in particular, we moved the ball forward on affordable housing, and all that is written into the draft part 3. So those two sections at the end relating to the impact on community plans and the impact on the neighborhood are probably the two most germane to whether you feel comfortable with the negative declaration. You have more questions.
I would just like to comment that I know it was brought up kind of late in the discussion about front door business, you know, the entranceway. I think that should be seriously considered, because I think there's some good arguments to be made for having, you know, it was one thing when it was a school, but now it's not an institution. Now it's going to be a building where people live. And so I think some thought should be given to that. I'm not sure that that should prevent us from saying yes, but I do think that's an important consideration.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you weren't here, so I don't fault you, but we spent a great deal of time discussing that front door and made a lot of adjustments and amendments to make sure that there is kind of either the opportunity for the planning board to focus on a design with the designer, or as well as create an access way off the street into it and have some sort of feeling of there's a common area there as well. And all of that is baked in to the plan. So again, a lot of it would shift to planning board discussion as part of what we've decided to do going forward. Right? Agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, we sort of added some language about a direct walkway should be provided from the street sidewalk in order to provide a welcome connection. There was a lot of jibber jabber between people with more design experience than I about how to create a front entrance that's not necessarily a front door. Apparently that's a thing that you can do. But it felt sort of like with a lot of encouragement on our part of please prioritize this, but then planning board, please make this decision. But yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution as drafted.
Second.
Discussion.
It's been a lot of input for a lot of people, and I think that's a really solid law. I think it seems to take into account the various needs. I feel like folks have been listened to. We have a good planning board that's in place, and it's going to be this hot potato will be passed to them.
I agree. I think we've invested due diligence into working through this process. And I again want to thank everybody that provided input to us throughout the whole process. It was, for me, it was very good. It was kind of an open process, and working with all of you was a tremendous asset to helping us do this.
I'd like to thank the engagement of both the developer and the neighbors and sort of the general public on this conversation. I think it's been a fascinating one for the village. And I'm really grateful for everybody's attention on this. It's wonderful when people show up with ideas. So thank you.
And it makes it better.
Yeah, I think this is a better result as a result. A little bird just whispered to me that we need to close the public comment and the public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public comment section.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I didn't vote.
All right.
Here.
I know we did.
Now,
Hearing.
well, I didn't think we closed it until after we voted. Is that true?
We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. So, we ready for a vote?
I asked a question, are you taking any comments from us on this tonight, or did?
We did, we opened it,
Okay, I wanted to make a comment, I
we
apologize.
closed it.
Yeah, I was listening to that, I thought, okay.
I think it's a little,
Yeah.
even for me, who understands opening and closing,
Yeah.
it's a little confusing,
It does, I
given the
agree.
fact that we kind of jumped around from
Sit
budget to everything else.
Sit in this chair and think how confusing it is.
That's right. But if this gentleman wanted to make a comment, could
We
we make
haven't
an
voted yet.
exception?
We haven't voted on the resolution, we closed the public comment session, but Steve, if you want to have special privileges and to make a comment,
It's a
is the
comment,
board, wait, so time out, is the board okay?
We are.
It's up to the board.
I apologize for that.
Then you gotta come forward again.
A quick comment question, okay? Again, I'm Steve Sansol, I live in the village, 45 Lorraine Drive. When I read through the document the other day, I didn't bring it with me, but I just had a question about the affordable housing component, where you have a 50-year term on the agreement. And I'm imagining this is in negotiation with the developer. Or my question is, why couldn't it be in perpetuity? Why is there a 50-year end?
I'd like
What
to
was the
David
first
answer
part
that.
of it? Why couldn't we do what?
Why can't it just be in perpetuity, to have it extend?
Well, the law tends to disfavor things in perpetuity relating to property to begin with. In fact, there's a law school rule called the rule against perpetuities relating to wills and things like that. When we got the proposal on the affordable housing from the applicant, from the proponent, it was originally 20 years.
Right.
And I did a little bit of research around laws, laws in the area, and 50 years was not uncommon, and it seemed to be obviously a more robust requirement. Perpetuity, 50 years is a pretty good chunk of time. A future board or developer can extend it at that point. I'm not sure if I ever saw any law that actually had perpetuity in it. It's something worth considering, but like I said, it's actually, it's kind of aggressive, if not presumptuous, for a board to purport to legislate in perpetuity. When I sat on boards, I didn't have that level of wisdom. I'm not sure how this board feels about that, but 50 years is a
I understand.
good
And
chunk
the
of time
second comment I
for
had, though, when I read the document, if I read it correctly, it stated that the affordable unit, there's a 2-year lease max, or can that be renewed? I was not clear.
Yeah, the term of the lease can be 2 years maximum, but it can be renewed as, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I would point out that a lot of these terms came from discussions that we had with Hudson Housing.
Yeah.
And, very much jumping into, tagging along to their program.
The point of a 2-year term on a lease like that is it allows, because every time a lease like that comes up for renewal, the income has to be reevaluated.
Understand.
And so it allows folks to both have 2 years of leeway
Right.
and also,
And if they qualify, I can.
and if they qualify, exactly.
Thank you for letting me comment.
Could I ask a procedural question? Are you voting on the seeker negative declaration or the law?
So the
The
resolution,
Have you,
The resolution as drafted has both.
Oh,
in it.
both.
Has
Okay, thank you.
there are, now therefore resolved to accept the negative declaration as written in the Part 3, and then as further resolved to adopt the law.
got it.
In fact, they're both exhibits, formally, they're both exhibits to the
So you don't
resolution.
need to do
The
them
law
separately.
and the
seeker.
Part 3.
Would it be helpful if I read the therefore let it be resolved sections? Does everybody want story time? No? Okay.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think everybody's had enough time to read it more than once. We've made the amendments, it's been well publicized. All right. I'd like to make a motion, we made a motion, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor of approving the BSO resolution as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Hearing none. Done. Again, thank you. Thank you. Okay? Moving on.
Go for it, the planning board.
Okay, we're going to go back to our normal agenda.
Always, but.
Oh, no. We've enjoyed your help.
Yes, thank you.
And you got, I commend the boards for the patience. This is what the planning board does, they sit through, I've seen them several times, sit through 4-hour meetings when they go through every, inch of a proposal. And it's not always that a village or a town board does that, and I do commend the board for stepping up and becoming one of these experts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help in helping us.
We still a lot of exciting stuff to go over.
Nobody wants to hear about dental and vision benefits? Central Hudson resolution? Nobody.
Okay. Moving on, I'd just like to make note of those who saw the original agenda that, thank you, David, the original agenda that went out. There was a line item for new phone service that we discussed last time. I'm going to apologize and say I haven't had enough time to get everything resolved, and that item will be tabled to a future meeting. Okay? So, the next thing on the list was employee dental and vision benefits. To give everybody a little bit of background on this process was, for everybody's awareness, we did have a UPSEU union working with us and our water, wastewater, and highway employees. Through a process not involved with us, but between the employees and the UPSEU, there's been a decertification of the UPSEU for our water, wastewater, and highway employees. As part of that, what we had negotiated a few years ago was to have the union extend their dental and vision plans to the employees working here that were non-unionized at that time. So it was kind of a good marriage of good things. But now that that's happened, the UPSEU no longer provides dental and vision for our employees. The Village of Rhinebeck, in our packages, we never had a dental and vision plan. So we had nothing to resort back to. So this is a new offering for our plan to go forward with dental and vision for now all of our employees, and that's an elective for them to choose. Okay? Clear? Okay, so we received several quotes. I don't know how many of you have taken the time to do a deep dive into them in terms of the studying. I did meet with our providers and go over these, and what I'd like to do is make a recommendation and then go into discussion, okay? So what I'd like to do is we'll take it one at a time. I'm going to talk about dental, right? I'd like to make a recommendation for the village board to include a program which is a comprehensive option program. It's really a comprehensive option PPO, preferred provider option, right? And it's from Delta Dental. The plan is pretty robust, and for PPO, the employee only is $34.38, employee and spouse $73.24, employee plus children $71.77, and employee and family is $116.31. Along with that, there's a list of options that they cover. For instance, diagnostics is covered at 100%, preventive care is 100%, basic restorative care is 80%, oral surgery 80%, I don't know, I can go through all these, but I hope you have time to read through those. Bottom line is, there's an annual maximum deduction of $2,000, okay, for that
That's
plan.
nice.
Now, we're gonna discuss later, we can do it now if you would like, our coverage for that plan. But I would like to make a motion to accept the Delta Dental Comprehensive PPO plan as an elective option for our employees.
I'll make a second.
Discussion.
So elective means that they pay, or does it?
So we're gonna discuss it later, how our village contribution is, but
But elective means that they don't have to.
they don't have to go in.
No, they don't, I get that,
Right.
I just was.
But now the payment, we're gonna suggest a village payment option going forward, okay?
So we do this in two parts. First, we accept the plan, and then we talk about how we're gonna pay for it.
Yeah, because it's in a separate document that we have to do that.
Oh,
It's in our Article 8124,
oh, right, okay.
okay?
That,
And that we have to vote on
yeah.
and approve, and you can amend that. But the first is to set the plan, because then you know what you're gonna vote on going into Article 124, okay? You know what you're dealing with. So I made a motion, I have a second. Any other discussion on the Delta Dental comprehensive option?
Looking at all these plans makes my eyes bleed, to be perfectly honest. But this seems like a fairly solid plan. I'm sort of sad I didn't have it when I got braces.
I spent a lot of time going through them.
So this would be for 1 year and then.
Every year we-
Reevaluate, so it's not.
Every year, our medical plan, Eleanor, expires in August. We would adopt a new medical plan in August as well. And then we could set a date for when you want this, but my recommendation is I'm gonna amend it, because thank you for kind of jogging my memory, is that I would like to make a motion to adopt the Delta Dental plan effective as of today. I have a second to the amendment.
Second.
And the reason for that is we have several employees who already have receiving dental care under a previous plan who are in the process of needing that, and I want to make this option available for them to continue immediately. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer when the union tells us they're discontinuing service as of April 1st on March 29th.
I know, yeah. But as in, what I mentioned in our budget, we respond.
We do, yeah, we do.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the Delta Dental of New York comprehensive PPO option to make it effective as of April 9th, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, I did the same thing on vision. Again, we had several proposals for vision, and they're all up on the cloud. I don't know if you had a chance to view them, but we can pick and choose. If everybody remembers, one of our providers, right, is a, what do you want to call them? I'm at a senior moment here, in terms of they offer many programs. And I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, we have a broker.
Broker.
Yes.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so the broker gives us many options, plus other options have come in. Martina reached out to several as our clerk to collect options of different plans. Again, after reviewing these plans and sitting down and going through them, the one that really stuck out to me most was from Group Vision Comparison Plan, which is really a VSP, which is one of the most popular vision plans in the country right now, and the most affordable plans to go forward with. And what I like about this is, like in all of them, it has in-network and out-of-network coverage that goes with it, and it has various co-pays and associated. But if you look at the total, this is a 12-month plan where some of them were a 24-month plan. I like the fact that this gives us, not us the ability, but it really focuses on being 12 months. And the rates are pretty comparable across all the plans, but this had a pretty reasonable thing. It's on, it looks like this if you're looking at it on the screen.
Yep.
Okay? It looks like this.
Clearly I need to see my eye doctor.
Give you time to pull it up. And really what the rates again, are for employee. For employee, it's $8.50. For employee, again, print this, well, I printed it out. Employee and spouse was $12.50, and employee and children was $13.88, and a family was $22.57. So it's really a very affordable plan. There is no deductible for vision, just so you know. It's not like where you have your medical and you have your dental. There's no deduction coming forward. This is the plan. And again, what we will recommend later is an employer collaborative effort on going forward with both these plans. So I would like to make a motion to accept the VSP choice contributory plan to be effective today, April 9th, for all of our employees.
Second.
Discussion. I know, this is,
It's like looking at health
Seriously.
plans on the exchange.
it really blurs you,
Yeah.
right, going through all this stuff, but
At a certain point, can we put it on the same schedule? Does this last?
yeah, we probably can. We could try to figure out how to do that with our
So it doesn't come
provider.
up randomly?
But I think it's important that we continue coverage for employees now versus waiting till August when we have to
Agreed.
do it.
Completely agree.
Right. And all of our employees, regardless of where they were under the union before or non-unionized, we all had the same medical plan. So there's no difference there. So we're not talking about medical plans tonight, just to make sure this is dental and vision.
Okay.
All in favor of accepting the group vision plan from VSP, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you guys are making this easy. Thank you. Considering Martina and I spent 24 hours trying to figure it out and reading the print. Okay,
Yes,
the next item on the agenda was the employee benefits and code update. I'm going to ask the board for permission to move this to the end of the agenda because I really want to have another discussion associated around that. Okay?
That executive session and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, we will motion then to go into it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But I'm just going to move it from this part of the agenda. The request now is for your permission to push this down to later in the agenda.
Yep.
Okay?
Agreed.
All right, agreed.
And as part of that conversation, we're gonna talk about how we're gonna pay for dental.
Yes,
Right,
that's
okay.
all.
That's all part of the same thing.
Hopefully you read it.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. That's it. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our biosolid removal. This is a process, just for everybody's clarification. I'm
PSPs.
drawing a blank on what?
Is this the PSPs or the
Not
PFOBs?
yet, not yet.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Not yet, we're getting rid of them first.
The water treatment plant.
This is down the water treatment plant.
Yeah,
These are the bags that are down in the water treatment plant, that when we dredge the lagoon, which is there's sediments that are removed from our water treatment process, we're putting these bags to let them drain, and then the purpose is to now
yeah,
take that information and move it out.
yep.
Right, so we went through a multi-step process to try to get bids, and we now had submitted a bid, and the bids were opened on, I forget the date, not too long ago. Last week. Right?
Says that.
Help me, Martina. Well, she's looking up the date. We received 2 bids.
April 2nd,
Pardon?
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Thank you. We did receive 2 bids for the biosolids removal. One was from a company called Rossi for $79,900. Another one was a company called Casella for $467,500.
How is there a $400,000 difference between the two?
One involved a lot more transportation and a lot more. They wanted to put in an extra kind of the approval process going through it in terms of where the site was being delivered.
Oh, okay,
Okay, even though that was not a requirement
okay.
in the bid process.
Okay,
Okay, we discussed this.
yes.
We've
Yeah, okay.
gone through this
Right, so
multiple
all
times.
many
Yeah.
times, right, yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid from Rossi's for a quote of $79,900, and if approved, the project would start within a month.
Second.
Holy crap.
Sorry,
Discussion.
that's
It's a technical term.
I'm just amazed at the price difference between these two. Great.
It's the.
This is a win-win.
This is a win-win. I'll take this.
This is a win-win.
Awesome.
Take it.
This is great.
And just to remind everybody, we work with Delaware Engineering throughout this whole process, so Delaware Engineering wrote the spec for us to go out to bid. It's not us sitting behind here saying,
Right.
Right.
let's go hire a truck.
Did they review the bids
Yes,
and
yeah,
the $79,000 one is
yeah, they're okay.
real? Okay.
I spoke to them, I said, here's what we got.
Yeah, great.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's
Holy moly,
amazing.
that is a win.
This is a win-win.
Weren't we? Yeah,
Yeah.
we were earmarking a lot more than that.
Okay. Lydia, do you want to talk about Central Hudson?
I'd be
You brought that
delighted to talk about Central Hudson. All the ways that I want to talk about Central Hudson. So, many of us perhaps may or may not have heard that Central Hudson is seeking a rate increase of, seeking a really extraordinary rate increase. Something like 31%. And they're in front of the
PSC.
the Public Service Commission to ask them to do that. And they're a group of people who are concerned, given Central Hudson's behavior over the past 3, 4, 5 years in terms of the billing issues, that this seems like an excessive rate increase. And a variety of municipalities, including actually including the entire county of Ulster, have passed resolutions basically saying, please PSC, do not approve this rate increase. So I could read the whole resolution, it's long. The idea behind it is that we're already suffering from inflation and a 31 increase on our electric bills, both for the village government as well as for everybody who lives in the village, is an extraordinary increase given what we're all dealing with inflation these days. So this resolution is basically telling the world that we are opposing the rate increase for delivery of electricity and natural gas, for which Central Hudson has applied, and that certified copies of this resolution be delivered by our charming village clerk to all of the people who might be able to help us with this. The PSC, Senator Hinchy, Assemblywoman Shretha, Sarah Hanna, and Brennan at the Dutchess County Legislature, as well as Sue Serino, and then supervisors for the towns of Rhinebeck, Red Hook, and Hyde Park, as well as the mayor of the village of Red Hook, just so that they all know what their neighbor is doing. So I asked you all about this, and then I went to the affordable housing seminar, I don't know, lecture on Sunday at the Church of Messiah, which was fascinating, by the way. And we were reminded by, what is his name?
Adam Bosch.
Adam Bosch, who's the CEO or the executive director of Patterns of Progress, that sometimes governments get in our own way because we try and do something with our left hand that we immediately oppose with our right hand. And so with our left hand, we are encouraging everybody to use more electricity by driving electric vehicles and converting their heating to heat pumps. And in our right hand, we're saying that we're asking Central Hudson to not increase their rates in order to stabilize the grid in order to handle the increased load that we are asking Central Hudson to provide to give us electric vehicle charging stations and heat pumps. I think Central Hudson is still reeling from its budgeting issues, and unless, I haven't heard anything about them using this to stabilize the grid. I've heard them wanting this rate increase to be so that they can get their stuff sorted out. But, so I'm just gonna lay
I
this here.
did read
Yeah,
that they do want to use this to help fortify the grid.
well, that's kind.
So
Right,
there is that portion of it, but again,
right.
we all know that the grid needs to be fortified. It really does.
It does.
It's not a stable grid for anywhere across the country. The question is, Central Hudson should be allowed to do this all at once, or can we kind of move into that, which is what the public has been asking for a long time, right? We're okay if you want to do things, but don't do it in such large steps.
Yeah,
Make
30%.
make it incremental and fortify the grid, because we actually need a fortified grid. We really, really do. We need a fortified grid to support solar. We need a fortified. We need it to support wind. We need it just to keep, with climate change and the impact of storms and everything. We do need a very robust
I
grid.
mean, look what happened to Texas
Right. So
10 years ago, right?
and so on one hand, I agree with you, but I would rather see this a slow walk
Yeah,
than a jump.
yeah. It's also a little disappointing that after years of turmoil, they then turn around and say, please give us more money.
Well, I think the issue is their incompetence.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think they should document how much money they made by their non-metered monthly readings or estimates, because mine is always double what my other one is. So obviously, they're making money off inflating those readings that they're not taking. And I mean, there's just been so many issues with,
You're aware that they're no longer doing that, right?
well,
I think they're
so,
phasing out.
they're phasing out.
No,
They're
starting next month.
sure, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
how long did it take?
I just want to
them?
make sure, they heard us, and I think they did respond to that, and they're no longer going into estimated readings.
Sure, but they also kept putting advertisements on the radio saying how they're going to go to monthly billing, and I'm thinking, why don't you just invest that in going to monthly billing instead of telling me about it? I don't have confidence that this is going to be money well spent.
Yeah, that was
I'm
my
fully
thought.
in favor of this
So-
resolution.
So the reality of this goes to the Public Service Commission, and really what we're saying to the Public Service Commission is, keep your eyes on
Yes.
on Central Hudson, which is really, they're the people who are
Right.
responsible for this, and what we're saying to public services, we're watching you, you gotta be watching them.
That's what we're asking for.
Yeah.
So you make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to accept this resolution opposing delivery rate increases by Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Rick, let's talk about Arbor Day proclamation.
Okay. So this is an annual proclamation. We are now, the village has been a Tree City USA for 13 years running. We just received our new flag and plaques. So we're ready to go, and that represents the hard work of the tree commission and all the tree commissioners. And it's an honor that has been, what do I want to say, has been hard won and well maintained by the members of the tree commission. The proclamation is yours, Mr. Mayor, so.
I know.
Okay.
But you're the tree guy right now,
Okay.
so,
Do you want me to read it?
yes.
Okay.
Oh, it's yours, right?
There we go, okay. Usually read it. Gotta pull it up. Okay. Arbor Day Proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 3 million trees, a million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal.
Here, here.
So I asked the mayor on this 9th day of April to proclaim 27th as Arbor Day, and urge all citizens to support and protect our trees and our woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Do I have a second?
I second that. I love this.
You know, again, I'll say, we have the tree commission works incredibly hard to maintain our urban forest and our urban canopy, and it's a group of volunteers, and they're out there rain and shine, and heat and cold, and there's all kinds of work. You see folks out. We know we have our planting days twice a year, but we have volunteers who are out pruning, volunteers who are out making sure that the trees are well tended for. There's all the planning and the scouting and all of the work that goes into making those 2 planting days the successes that they are. So while I want to do the proclamation, I also want to say thank you to the members of the tree commission who do a terrific job.
Do a great job. Sitting right here.
You know, it's just to have a small moment, my grandmother, who died at the age of 100, became an amateur horticulturist at the age of 52. And she always told me that you plant trees for the next generation. And she said, because trees when they're teenagers are very boring. But trees when they're adults are just spectacular. I'll never forget that. So every time I plant a tree, I always think about the next generation. It's wonderful.
Okay. All in favor of approving the Arbor Day proclamation?
Aye.
No. Thank you.
So Arbor Day is April 27th?
April 27th.
And does that mean April 27th of every year? Or just this year?
I have to look.
It feels like every year.
And we do this
It doesn't
every
say
Yeah,
2024.
we do this every year, yeah.
We do this every year? It's exciting.
Okay.
Yes.
You get to read this every year?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Yes, we have.
source of joy and spiritual renewal.
So you can get just excited next year at this time.
Oh,
Okay.
thrilled.
All right, let's
Hopefully
move
the
on.
last 2 for the year.
You have,
Arbor Day this year is Friday.
Vanessa, you want to talk about
Up to the
the
mid.
green, please? Okay, control your.
It's actually Friday, April 26th.
26, sorry, it's Friday, April 26th.
26th.
26, not 27. Oops, 27th last year.
Vanessa's
It
birthday
does
thing is on the
change.
27th.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to take a moment to share some good news. We did get a grant through our participation in the Clean Energy Communities Program through NYSERDA, a $5,000 grant. And the only stipulation for that is you have to use it to reduce emissions or on something regarding renewable electricity or renewable energy. No match required. So we discussed it as a board. I think you recall, we talked about purchasing electric landscaping equipment. And as Kyle can testify, we are now the proud owners of our first electric landscaping equipment.
Yay!
So really exciting, and I hope this is really kind of showing our residents here in the village that we're putting that grant money to good use and trying to do our part to reduce emissions, and improve air quality, and also reduce the noise pollution produced by this machinery. For example, one of the items is a backpack leaf blower, and it's much quieter than the typical.
Yes.
So then thanks to Kyle for making it happen, and you should see that equipment going into action this spring. Oh, and one more bonus thing is we can get more points in the Clean Energy Community Program for the purchase of this equipment if we hit a certain threshold. So we did go ahead and purchase an additional piece of equipment to get us over that threshold. So
The
now,
chainsaw, right?
the chainsaw, right. So now we put in for another grant, which I think will be a $50,000 grant. So,
50?
yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So we're really getting some momentum here, and it feels good.
And there's no match to the 50,000.
Correct.
That's
So
amazing.
you know.
They make a virtuous cycle there.
Yeah.
You gotta do the stuff and then play the game,
Yeah.
right, is really what you have to do.
It's
So
awesome.
thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa.
So there's nothing we need to do here that I know of, right?
I think the next item we can discuss, and we can do it later during my climate report, is what are we going to spend
All right.
the money on?
All right, I'm
Thanks,
gonna move into special requests. The first one is Porch Fest. We've had an application for Porch Fest and a map has been updated. It has been, correct me if I'm wrong, reviewed by fire and police, or not?
It's been reviewed by them, but we're still waiting to schedule a sit-down meeting to go over some specific details. There were some concerns from fire as well as police, which the applicant is aware of, and he will schedule a sit-down. He mainly wanted to get this in front of the board so that he can reserve this date.
So really what we need to do is the date tonight.
Approving the event contingent on
Right.
final approval from fire
Right.
superintendent.
Okay. So to remind everybody, Rhinebeck Porch Fest 2024 is a live music performed on host porches and or lawns over a 4-block area. Food vendors, event merchandise sales, trash recycling receptacles, porta bathrooms provided, pedestrian traffic within the performance area, all controlled by working in collaboration with our first responders, and which includes fire, EMS, and police. And the event will replicate the successful one last year, so hopefully we have better weather than last year. And it'll be coordinated by Liz Mazzarella, the guiding system in this year's event. The date for the event is Saturday, September 21st, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 11. Event start time is, that's setup time, 9 a.m. to 11. Start time is 11 a.m. Event end time is 7 p.m. And then approximately 2 hours for teardown. They've been very successful with good weather to get a robust crowd of people. We're keeping that crowd about 3,000 as their anticipated things. They will be bringing in golf carts like they did last year. So we're minimizing cars coming in to unload and load equipment. They're going to be utility kind of golf carts, which is something we pushed for last year. So because we had issues with cars coming into the event, that ended last year. That process will be the same going forward this year. There will be a sensory safe space afforded to individuals for the opportunity to step away from the overwhelming sensory experiences whenever possible. The sensory safe space will be easily accessible, blah, blah, and will be held at Ruby's Automotive. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve pending the final review of police and fire for Rhinebeck Porch Fest 2024 for September 21st, 2024.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to, there's a charming typo in here that it's Ruby's Oldsmobile, not Ruby's Automobile.
Yeah, I know.
Which
I saw
I
that.
kind of love.
Old,
Is this about what the anticipated crowd, is that about the same that they've had in the past?
yeah, yeah. And that number's about 3,000 people. We've never counted them though.
No, I just was curious because the board did have a big discussion about a 5K or whatever it was, and the number of people running through the village, so I was just curious.
That was the anti-runner group on the board.
Stop. I'm actually more comfortable with this one because it's a defined space that everybody's notified of and it stays in a sort of one spot. My
You
concern.
mean like Center Close?
And they go out and they do work with all the homeowners and
Yeah.
notify everybody in that area. And they're offered ability to get in and out. So there's no restrictions on people. And then there's alternative parking for people who know they have to leave, that they will be escorted to the cars. They're really kind of stepped up the game.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, filming date change. This is one we approved before.
Oh, these are the people with the taxi in front of.
They wanted to do Memorial Day weekend, they're now requesting the weekend before.
Oh, that's nice.
That's more better.
Yeah, that's much more better.
Right.
Which Pete has given his blessing.
He has?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you said?
Pete has
Gave
given
his-
blessing.
You did.
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to go over this again? What was the date change?
I believe it's now May 21st.
I'm looking for it on the form.
Yeah.
It's a very extensive form.
All right, I make a motion to approve the date change for the filming request.
Second, Katie.
It still says date of filming 5/25.
Yeah, I'm looking for the date.
I just saw that on the map.
Hold on.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's like, motion fails.
So
Discussion.
they want to go to the 18th.
Where'd you find that?
That's what you're saying.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know where you found it. I still can't find it. I want to make sure the date is the 18th.
Yeah, I don't quite know what we're voting on because
Right.
this doesn't have it.
In order to stay on Memorial Day weekend, we would like to move the entire shooting date to 5/21, which I've tentatively confirmed with Beekman Arms and Delamater Inn.
So is that an email?
Oh, that was in an
It's an email, okay. We'll do it in the
It's
email.
not on the form.
So this is their old form, but with an email request change.
Just attach the email to the.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine, yeah. 5/21, what day of the
So
week is it?
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, okay.
Oh, much more
Well,
better.
that's way better, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, this one's a tough one, Kyle. We have not received the letter for the Memorial Day parade event.
Who are you pointing to, me?
No. I will take care of that tomorrow morning with Martina.
Okay, I would like to just move this to our fourth Tuesday of the month. It doesn't hinder in terms of application, so. All right, so I would like to table this to the next meeting. Okay,
We will have that. I will work with Martina getting that addressed.
thank you. Okay, are all of you aware of Mr. Dingling?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Dingling is back,
Mr. Dingling really needs to change his
and
name.
he has submitted for an event, his application, a peddler's permit, and has gone and submitted all of the required information for drivers and everything else required. I'm just happy that they're submitting a peddler's application
There is.
versus just showing up and not submitting an
But they've
application.
been good over the years.
Yeah.
They've been very good
Yeah,
over the years.
they've been
And
great.
I've missed a couple here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah. So it's good that they're following through with this. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the peddler's permit for Mr. Dingling for this summer.
Second.
Any discussion?
Sing this off.
It doesn't violate our noise ordinance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So, yeah.
All right, I'd like to let's keep moving here. All right, we have a guest to get into as well. We can, and board, to have our attorney, we could go into executive session now if the board like, or do you would finish?
This should all take 4 minutes.
I don't know. Vanessa talked a long time.
Okay.
All right, let's try it. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep you on the tab. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for 3/12/24.
I didn't receive them until 5 PM today and haven't looked at them.
We can table it, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
table it.
And that's, I think, all of them, right?
Yeah.
It's so I would like to withdraw that motion and table it to our next meeting, the fourth Tuesday of the month.
Yeah.
Okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Rick, Tree Commission.
Okay, the tree commission did receive one application for tree removal from Sean Howard, property owner of Fraley Holdings, to remove some honey locusts in front of John Jack's and in front of Willow Wood. And this is because they're about to do some sidewalk repair. The tree commission unanimously agreed not to approve the removal of these trees because these are street trees in our central business district, and there is no, right now, replacement plan or even ability to talk about what's going to go on the sidewalk. So for now, the commission would like to keep those trees existent. So there's no action, I guess, on our part.
Is the concern that when they redo the sidewalks, it's gonna kill the trees because they're gonna do a bunch of work on the roots?
We don't have, that would be, but if you look at the space, they have a pretty good size space. And they should be able to do a good job.
And I think they could build a sidewalk around the trees as they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the long-range plan is to address this by the tree commission, but now is not the time to start knocking them down.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, especially because there's some pretty cool ideas the comp plan has about that too.
All right.
Right,
Yeah.
so,
Oh, we need to talk to that guy too.
And just a quick update, the spring planting will be on Saturday, April 20th. And there will be 25 trees at 20 locations that are going to be planted by volunteers.
And where do you meet?
I will tell you later, we have teams set up and I think they're meeting various spots.
if you want to be on one of the planting teams, Rick can.
Speak to Joyce.
Joyce.
Speak to
Oh,
Joyce.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a new member. Okay.
We need to deny the application for 38 Marquis
Oh,
Market.
Rick just said we didn't have to
Do
take
we have to
any
take
action.
act? We didn't recommend. We
The
didn't
tree
recommend
commission
removal.
didn't recommend, but the board still needs to address.
The application is in front of the board.
All right.
Okay, so the tree commission recommends a denial for the removal at 38 East Market Street.
Second.
So you made a motion to deny
That
it?
was all, that was
Yes.
all.
Okay, great,
I seconded it.
great.
Any other discussion?
No?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Climate Smart Task Force.
All right, big news. I submitted for bronze recertification in the Climate Smart Communities Program. Requesting a total of 248 points. We're doing this basically to buy some time while we get some more actions done to get to the 300-point threshold, at which point we could get silver certification.
So 200, how many points? 78?
248.
248, okay, so we gotta find 52 points?
Yeah,
Great.
like adopting the comprehensive plan.
I know, that's a big one.
How many is that?
That's the big boy, yes. So that's exciting. We'll get reviewer comments and find out how many points we get awarded in a matter of weeks, so stay tuned. And then, as I mentioned before, we have now achieved the $10,000 grant in the Clean Energy Communities Program, and as soon as I make copies of the vouchers for the electric landscaping equipment, that unlocks another $50,000 grant, so we have $60,000 here at play. And so I'd like to see what the board thinks about either going for an electric vehicle, or Gary's suggestion, which is a great one, is to make the police department kind of a demonstration site for being all fossil fuel free. So moving off propane at the police department.
Do they use propane right now to heat?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
pretty cool.
I
We
think
have until
I'd like-
June 26th
yeah.
to decide.
So
So
what
I
I-
just want to bring that up.
Yeah, so I would like to say, I think we should go out and try to get some dollars around these
Yeah.
to make sure before we vote. All right, so I think both of them require us to do some due diligence on, let's price these out to make sure that, A, whatever we want to do to the police station is really feasible, because we haven't had anybody really study it, just me saying, wow, we could possibly do this, but I don't know how much it would cost, and or how much, what type, or who, or where, or what we want to buy if we want to do a vehicle.
Yeah.
So I think,
And maybe, are there any other ideas for having the 60 grand? It just has to be towards reducing emissions or switching to renewable energy.
I mean, I know our roof is covered with solar panels, but given the amount that the police department draws, are solar panels feasible for the police department?
Probably not,
No.
not enough roof space. At the right places, at the right, to be able, and with a lot of shade.
Got it. Okay.
We could look at solar at the water treatment plant.
But even there's not enough space. We looked at that one time as well.
Sorry,
What?
I said sorry. My pager went off.
There's very limited roof space to be able to, in fact, you brought it up even when we put that new building, there's a roof for solar, we said no. And there, even if we get rid of these bags, which would create space, we want to use that space for a storage space for pipes and valves and all sorts of other stuff, and keep it open for while we're doing the construction. So we're landlocked there.
Yeah.
Great idea, but we're landlocked there, and we're landlocked at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
To do something that would really be beneficial. I mean, you can put a few in, but
Not enough to make a big bang for the buck.
to spend the money, what is it really worth it?
All right, so we can do a little bit more research,
Yeah.
but let me know if any other cool ideas pop to mind.
Windmills.
Windmill.
They make like little ones that like just spin on people's roofs. Like, okay, sorry. Carry on.
And let's see. Yeah, and the other thing is we did submit our benchmarking for 22, 20, and 23. And so we earned a free energy audit through that program.
Again,
And I propose that we use that for the water treatment plant.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Your 4 minutes are up. Sorry. She said 4 minutes.
call.
All right. Do we need to approve it for that? Or is that just like something we have to think about later?
I don't think we just submit it.
Oh, okay, great.
If you all are cool with it, then
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Comp plan?
Comp plan, please.
Comp plan is meeting on Thursday, if you'd like to come, 6 to 9. We are going to be getting what we hope is they will be reviewing a final draft graphic design laid out copy of the plan. It's very exciting. With the hope that we can actually, our goal, we set a stretch goal to release it before Steve Rosenberg and Deirdre Burns talk about affordable housing on Sunday at the Church of Messiah, so that they can point to it. I don't know if we will achieve that goal, but the beauty of it is by setting that deadline, we really are close to actually releasing a draft plan. So I'm super excited about it. It looks amazing. There's so many graphics and it's just gorgeous. And I can't thank Eleanor's participation on the committee enough. And so, yes.
So be it.
So be it. There we are. Yes, that's the comprehensive plan committee.
Okay. All right. Now to some personnel. This is always a tough time for me because we did receive 2 resignations this month. The first is from one of our police officers, Patrick Murphy. Officer Murphy's been with us for 26 years, serving as a part-time police person for the village of Rhinebeck. And he says, it's been a privilege to serve with you and all the officers in the department, but I have made the decision to fully retire from the police force. I feel very fortunate to have worked with such a dedicated team of officers. Thank you again, and I wish you and all my fellow Rhinebeck Village police officers the best. With great sadness, I'd like to accept the resignation of Officer Murphy, which we will recognize at a future date with a plaque.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Second,
Quentin.
a year ago, Quentin? Yeah. So
Barely.
one of our highway laborers, Quentin Connolly, who was in front of us before and wanted to relocate and decided not to relocate, has now decided to really want to relocate. So Quentin Conley has submitted his resignation from his position as labor. He wanted to make it effective April 3rd, 2024, and which he requests to buy out any comp or vacation, which I don't think he had any, did he, Martina?
Not really.
Yeah. So, you know, I know this has been a tough time for Quentin. He's really trying to make, he's a young man, and he's been a great person to have on our staff, been dedicated to helping us do a lot, never said no, and never give us an issue. And that's great. So I'd like to, with great sadness, but also wish Quentin Conley all the best of luck. His resignation from the Village of Rhinebeck Highway Department effective 4/3/24.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And just to pique your awareness, at our next meeting, we'll be bringing forward a plan to replace our labor, right? Okay, with that, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss our employee benefits and code update.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye. Bye, Sam.
I'd like to make a motion to close the executive session with legal counsel.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm going to go back to our scheduled resolution, the one we postponed to the end of the meeting, which is employee benefits and code update. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the Village of Rhinebeck Village Code, Section A124, for all of our employees.
Second.
Discussion.
So given that we had this conversation earlier, I think it's important to point out that currently our employees contribute 15% towards health insurance, and we're asking them to do the same thing towards dental and vision.
Correct.
So that's sort of,
Yeah, we're going to cover 85% plus the deductible,
yeah, just sort of
and their contribution is 15%.
finishes that conversation.
Parallels.
Yep.
Okay, for medical.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
So passed. Okay. I'd like to, part 2 of this, I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution for the Board of Trustees to approve the full-time employees in water, wastewater, and highway departments who are formerly unit members of the UPSEU to be increases to be effective upon approval of this resolution, and to receive the salaries set forth in the table below, and salaries would be retroactive to January 1st, 2024, and continue through June 1st of 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. We started this conversation, but we need to have this conversation public. So these guys, these employees were expecting a raise on January 1st. With the chaos with the union, they did not get one on January 1st, and so this would solve that problem and that set of expectations. At the same time, 3 of our employees have earned their operator licenses, 2 in the water department and 1 in the wastewater department, and that skill addition, as well as a change in title, also needs to be recognized. So I think making it retroactive to January 1st makes a lot of sense, and I wholeheartedly agree that everybody needs to be on the same cycle of getting raises on June 1st, and so even though it'll be an 18-month period for them, there we go. I'd like to hear if Kyle has anything to add to this conversation, given that he oversees all of these guys.
I mean, I think, one, I want to thank the board. I mean, obviously, with the short time, as Steve said, the short time that we've had to put things together, and I want to thank Mayor Bassett for countless hours, and Rick as well, for doing what they did. I do agree 100% in regards to making something effective today and then retro from January 1st, which then, if I'm understanding right, will then make it, we do negotiations during our budget season for the 25-26, and then we just start getting on the cycle of June, which is, as far as I'm concerned, easier for us to be able to maintain. You know, obviously, you know, we're budgeting for operations and capital and everything else. It's just gonna make it easier and more clear for when we're starting to budget for 3 departments and obviously other departments for wage adjustments going forward. And I think it'll be definitely, without a doubt, easier for the treasurer and Gary moving forward.
It's a good plan.
So you're comfortable with the January 1st?
Yep.
Great.
When did they get the licenses? Do you recall the date?
One of 2 water operators got a 1/17/24,
Okay.
and then we're talking 3 weeks now
For Will.
for Will.
So 2 of them got them in January, and 1 of
Right.
them got them.
Correct.
Got it like a few weeks ago.
So that raise still goes retroactive to before they got it?
It goes to January 1st,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
yes.
So it's
All in
good.
favor, say aye. Hey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Opposed, abstained?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, motion carried. I'd like to make a motion to close our April meeting at
8:55.
8:56. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you all, enjoy.